going on, everybody? This is Toy Addict 26 here, back again with another advanced look at the Thundercats Ultimates Wave 2 figures. And this time around, we're taking a look at Grune. This is another long-awaited action figure that we have been waiting way over 2 years for, because of the fact that this was originally solicited and was supposed to be part of the Matty Collector Club Thundera subscription service. But for whatever reason, Mattel pulled the plug on that, and Grune was never produced by Mattel. However, we did get a lot of looks at him along with Jaga, but we already got Jaga in Wave 3, but had to wait for Wave 2 for Grune because of all the production delays. But finally, Grune is here, and he looks awesome. I've already taken him out of the package. For those of you who have seen my photos on social media, you may have noticed that it looked like his knees were messed up or mix-matched, but they're not. In fact, I'll go into more detail on that later, but I went ahead and took the figure out of the package and just wanted to showcase everything that the figure comes with, and it's quite a lot. So, for those of you that are Thundercats fans and watch the cartoon either now or when you were kids, you know that at one point, Grune was a good guy. He was a Thundercat. So this is basically a twofer, and I love the way it was offered. I don't know if initially Mattel would have done this, or they would have just given us Grune the Destroyer. But nonetheless, this is an Ultimates. This is Super 7. So we have a twofer. Basically, we have the option of displaying Grune as the villain or as the Thundercat. And that is by switching out the upper torso piece here, which has the Thundercat emblem. It's pretty much the only thing that differs from the Grune the Destroyer torso. Everything else is pretty much the same, just that this one has the Thundercat emblem on it. He also has these cool brass knuckle accessories that we will play with in a little bit. And he has the alternate head, which is the Thundercat Grune head. Now, something that's ironic about this, and I always wondered about it, is they gave him the evil, angry look for the Thundercat version of Grune, and they give him a more somber, serious look for the Grune the Destroyer villain look. So, you know, you might want to display him as Grune the Destroyer with this head, but he's supposed to be missing one of his saber teeth. So, you know, nonetheless, they're both awesome head portraits, really good sculpts, but I just wanted to bring that up. Another accessory he brings is a broken Sword of Omens. It's just a hilt and a piece of the blade that's cracked. He has a total of 3 interchangeable hands, 2 gripping hands with vertical hinges, and 2 gripping hands with horizontal hinges. And that's something that's really cool and that we're seeing now more and more with every Thundercat figure that's being released, is that now we're getting those options just like we got with Boomra, where we have vertical and horizontal hinging. Then we've got kind of like the gripping or like trying to claw at you hands, left and right. These are both on vertical hinges. And then we've got the Seal of Grune, both full and the destroyed, cracked in half version of the Seal of Grune. So those are really cool little artifacts and little things that you don't necessarily have to include them with an action figure, but just the fact that this Ultimate line and the 4 Horsemen are giving us all this extra stuff, whether it's artifacts, a little accessory from an episode, it just makes collecting these figures even more exciting and fun. So then, of course, he brings his club, which I've already placed in his hand here so you could see him. And yeah, so let's take a look at this figure. So right off the bat, I could say that Grune is taller than the average Thundercat figure. And I'm going to bring Lionel here really quick just to show you guys the height difference. So you could see the shoulders for Lionel and the shoulders for Grune. Grune is a much bigger boy than Lionel and than the average Thundercat. And rightly so. He's properly scaled. He's supposed to be a bigger guy overall. So put Lionel back away. Oh, one more thing I wanted to show you guys. Since I didn't show you the package at the beginning, I did want to show you the awesome character bio art on the back. This is the same art that is featured on the reaction figures. Only this time around you have a character bio. And this is pretty much a standard going forward from Series 2 and on. We didn't get it in the initial first wave, but we're going to see this on every Thundercat Ultimate release going forward. So the detail on the elements here, the seal of Grune, it's really cool. You know, it's molded in a purple plastic, and then it has the these little star rivet symbols etched in, the little moon, and then the X. These are painted in, so it's a solid plastic purple with actual paint on the inside. Same goes for the broken seal of Grune. Put those to the side, and let's take a look at the articulation. So that's something that's very key. All right. So first and foremost, one thing that I noticed, which is kind of disappointing, but I guess it's to be expected to capture that look of the torso and abdomen area for Grune, the ab crunch is non-functional on this figure. And it's not that it's not there, it's just that this whole upper torso piece, it shields the ab crunch. You could clearly see that it's here. It's present on the figure, on the inner buck, but it is completely covered by the torso piece, so it is non-functional. You cannot make him crouch forward. What you can do is you can slightly arch the back, but I mean slightly. That's all as far as it goes. All right. So having said that, that's an unfortunate thing, because, you know, you want to have a character like Grune be very dynamic in your posing and stuff. You want to have him fighting the Thundercats or fending off with Jaga. But the rest of the articulation is there, like every other standard Thundercat figure so far has featured. A really cool thing is that the shoulder pad skulls are not firmly attached to every piece to like the shoulder straps. So they have a lot of give, which allows you to bring the arms up this high. So you can get more, even higher of a T-pose, even with those shoulder pads on there. And that's a great thing. So standard articulation, swivel hinge at the main piece here at the shoulder. We've got a bicep cut, swivel bicep cut. On the elbows, we have a hinge and a swivel joint combo. So that's cool, and that's something that is being featured now on a lot of the newer Thundercats figures, and it wasn't part of others. Also, pinless technology, no pin joints, no exposed joints. That's another awesome thing going forward. Then at the wrist, we have the swivel standard and the hinge. On some we'll have vertical, on some we'll have horizontal. The waist swivel is there, and it's clearly usable. And then on the legs, he can do a split, total complete split. So now's where we get to the fun part where, you know, there was the speculation of the problem with the legs. There's nothing wrong with the legs. The thing is that there is a hinge and a swivel at the hinge. Now, the swivel is activated when you bend the knee. So you have this sort of thing going on. Not really, I would say, is very functional for posing. It pretty much, like in package, my figure looked like this. And that's why people were freaking out. Unfortunately, there still is kind of a mismatch in the sense of the inner piece of the upper thigh, where it's kind of protruding out, but it doesn't look all that bad. You just have to line up the kneecap with, the lower kneecap with the higher kneecap. But this leg in particular, it shows more. On the other one, it's not as evident. But it's because of this funky new swivel hinge joint combo that they've added on Grune. He has the standard, upper thigh swivel. That was another thing that, some figures will come packaged like this. And you'll think, oh, it's broken, but it's not. You just gotta align the knees and thighs. And then at the bottom, there is no boot cut on the figure because the boot goes too high up. But there is a swivel. Sorry, there's a hinge and there's the rocker joint for those angular poses. So all in all, a lot of good articulation. And of course, the head is on that standard neck peg joint. Unfortunately, because of the hairpiece, and it's to be expected because it's just a ball peg, you don't get a lot of range of movement. Once you pop the head in, he could slightly look to the left, to the right, slightly up, downwards, barely. But if you pop the head higher up and not quite pop it in all the way, it'll give you a little bit more wiggle room for angular poses and a little bit more of a controlled but yet limited movement in the head. So that's pretty much it for articulation. So what I wanted to get into now is how do we turn Grune the Destroyer back to his predecessor, Grune the Thundercat. So as I showed you before in the back here, I'm going to go ahead and remove his mace. And that's another thing too, that in the package, a lot of people saw this and they were like, oh, that's wrong. It's not wrong. It's just because of the swivel on the hinge. Again, just like in the knees, it just looks wrong the way it's packaged, but there's nothing wrong with it once you take it out and play with it and correct it. So going back to the back piece, there's two tabs, one at the waist and one at the upper back. It just come undone as so. Pretty simple. Let's put the arms back here. And let's see, actually forward is the way to go. Put the arms forward, and then we're just going to slide this out. Push it forward and out. It's coming, it's coming. There we go. If you boil water, you want to do that, you can always, get a little more play with it. Something to mention here, which I know people are going to say, yes, this seems to be very similar to the Master of the Universe book. And it makes sense because this was a Wave 2 figure and originally designed by Mattel. So what we're moving away from is this. Moving from Wave 3 and forward, you're going to notice that we're not going to see these types of bodies anymore. They're a lot more stylized to fit the character's look and physique, and you're not going to be seeing this anymore. That's one of the reasons why they made this upper torso sleeve, because they were reusing the upper chest. The abdomen doesn't look like a Motok, like a He-Man, for example. It's a little more slender at the bottom, and they probably made that so that the belt could fit around. But for those of you wondering, he does have an ab crunch. It's just not going to be usable if he's wearing the torso piece. So now let's go ahead and turn him into a Thundercat. Just gonna move, same situation but backwards. I'm gonna put the arms in through these pockets here. And again, it'll be a lot easier. I'm doing this on the fly here on camera, but it'll be a lot easier if you just put this torso piece in a little bit of boiling water. It'll make it 10 times easier and less frustrating for you guys. Let's pop his head off too to make it easier and not have anything running into the pieces. Fairly easy considering I didn't do the boiling water method. So then we got the belt piece, just trying to fit everything into the grooves. And these little tabs that are exposed, there we go. And then the back piece, just push it in. It's probably going to be easier. You push it in with something like with a flat piece, maybe like a flathead screwdriver or something, but it's staying in place. You get the idea. So there we have Thundercat torso. Let's go ahead and put the Thundercat head on him. And there we have Grune the Thundercat. So whichever way you want to pose him, or if you want to pose two of him side by side, you know, have the friend or foe version side by side to show the differences. You have that option. Of course, you would have to buy a second figure. But there you go. He looks really cool. The paint apps are not perfect. There's a lot of little discrepancies. There's some blue, I guess, from the belt that bleeded out here in the abdomen area. Also, you can see a lot of scuff paint marks here along the seam of the belt. But where it's mainly visible, I don't see a lot, except for maybe like a little dot there. Thankfully, with Grune, his paint apps are a lot cleaner than the Tigra that I received. Grune is definitely an improvement in terms of QC when it comes to paint, at least. I know that there was, like on this head, the paint is a lot better. I mean, I noticed, for example, here on this saber tooth, there's a little bit of white that came off on the chin there. But then from this angle, you can't see it. You can see it here, but you can't see it here. So it's little small nuances, nothing major. The shoulder pad details are sculpted really nice, and they're painted pretty clean. You know, you got little minor things like the tooth has a little bit of gray from the head that ran off to the top of the tooth. But all in all, it's painted pretty good. Again, a little bit of bleeding out here from the seam. And, you know, this is something that I mentioned on social media and was talking to my fellow collectors, is that I'm not really surprised, because this came from the previous factory that Super 7 is no longer doing business with. And of course, you know, if you guys have, you know, heard the interviews and whatnot, that factory was a problem factory. They weren't giving priority to the Thundercats line, and, you know, they weren't doing good work. So going forward, we're not going to be seeing these type of QC issues. And I can already, you know, stand by that statement, because I have Wave 3 in hand. I have Wave 4 in hand, and those figures do not suffer from these types of paint flaws and little discrepancies that I've noticed in Wave 2. So let's take a look at these cool let's see, these brass knuckles. So it looks like this fat piece is supposed to insert into the hand, like if he's holding it. There we go. Cool. Yeah, it works really good. It's pretty easy to place in there. Just gotta kind of play with this piece and get the peg in. Once you get it inside the hand grip, there they are. So those are the brass knuckles. Those are some crazy brass knuckles, man. They look really cool. He looks like he's in a grudge match. Very cool. They work really good. So that's an awesome little extra accessory. And that's one of the reasons why I love the fact that we're getting these as ultimates, because we have all these extra goodies between artifacts and pieces from certain episodes. We got the broken Sword of Omens in dagger form. I love the fact that the Thundercat emblem is muted. It's not visible because it's depowered. And that's really awesome. The blade is painted in a nice shiny silver, so it looks metallic. So yeah, whichever way you want to display your guy, whether it's a bad guy or a good guy, you know, you have Grune. Whether it's Grune or Grune the Destroyer, he's here to take over your toy shelves, and he really looks awesome. The mace, as I already showed you at the beginning, super detailed, nice and sturdy. Paint apps are clean. Fits in his hand fairly easy. And it kind of slides here, but if you get it to the bottom or either the top, it'll stay in sturdy. It's just the centerpiece of the handle is a little lighter, so you'll get a little give when it's inside the hand. So pretty much all in all, that's Grune for you guys. I hope you really enjoyed this this advanced look. I'm super excited to finally have Wave 2 in hand. It's been way too long, and you know, he's here. And so is Mumra the Ever Living, and so is Tigra, and the corrected Pumaira with the new scaled down body. I'll be taking a look at Mumra and Pumaira very soon, so keep it locked on Toy Addict 26 for the latest toy news and reviews. And as always, I'll see you in the toy house.